On 7 May 2025, a significant escalation occurred between India and Pakistan as India launched a series of coordinated missile and air strikes into Pakistani territory in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. This marked one of the most serious flare-ups between the two nuclear-armed nations in recent years. The operation was reportedly initiated in response to a deadly terrorist attack that took place on the 22nd of April in the Pahalgam region of Indian-administered Kashmir. That attack, attributed to Pakistan-based terror groups by Indian authorities, resulted in the deaths of 26 civilians, including tourists from various Indian states. In the days that followed, tensions began to mount, with Indian intelligence services allegedly tracking cross-border movements and intercepting communications suggesting further planned incursions. At precisely 3:48 a.m. on 7 May, the Indian Air Force initiated a highly coordinated operation that lasted approximately 23 minutes. The operation, reportedly named Operation Sindoor, involved Mirage 2000 and Sukhoi Su-30 Mki aircraft, supported by mid-air refueling and early warning systems. These aircraft crossed the line of control and struck 9 different targets believed to be terrorist training camps and logistical bases. The targeted locations included Muzaffarabad and Kotli in Pakistan-administered Kashmir and cities such as Bahawalpur, Muridki, Sialkot, Ahmedpur East, Bimber, Bagh, and Chak Amru within Pakistan's Punjab province. The Indian Ministry of Defence later released a statement asserting that all targets were precisely chosen based on confirmed intelligence reports and surveillance data from satellite imagery and high-altitude drones. India claimed that the strikes were non-escalatory and strictly aimed at dismantling terror infrastructure. According to Indian officials, none of the targets included Pakistani military installations or civilian centers. However, the Pakistani government issued a strongly worded condemnation, declaring the attacks a violation of its sovereignty and labeling them as an act of war. Pakistani media reported that the strikes caused significant damage, including civilian casualties. The Pakistani National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) confirmed that 26 civilians had been killed, including several women and children, and another 46 had been injured. In Muzaffarabad, a mosque near a targeted compound suffered a roof collapse, leading to further casualties. Pakistan's military claimed that it activated its air defense systems during the strike. According to a statement from the Inter-Services Public Relations (ISPR), the Pakistani Air Force scrambled fighter jets and surface-to-air missile systems, allegedly shooting down 5 Indian aircraft and several drones. These claims have not been independently verified, and the Indian side has denied losing any aircraft, stating that all jets returned to base safely. In the hours that followed the air raids, artillery duels erupted along several sectors of the line of control, particularly in the Rajouri, Kupwara, and Poonch sectors. Heavy shelling was reported, with both sides blaming each other for initiating the exchange. The artillery fire led to additional civilian deaths. On the Pakistani side, 6 more civilians were reportedly killed by Indian shelling. On the Indian side, 3 civilians were killed in the Poonch sector, including a teenage girl and her grandmother. The Indian Army stated that it was responding to Pakistani provocation and targeting only military installations along the border. Eyewitnesses in border villages described a night of terror, with the sky lit up by explosions and residents forced to take shelter in bunkers and underground basements. The Indian Prime Minister convened a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security later that day, where national security officials briefed him on the operation's success and future defense postures. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Prime Minister addressed the nation, vowing retaliation and warning that Pakistan would not tolerate further violations of its sovereignty. He ordered the mobilization of reserve forces and placed forward airbases and key assets on high alert. Pakistan also formally approached the United Nations, filing a complaint with the UN Security Council and calling for an emergency session to discuss what it called Indian aggression. International reactions were swift. The United States called for calm and restraint, urging both nations to de-escalate tensions and resume dialogue. Russia and China also expressed concern and offered to mediate. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres issued a statement urging both countries to step back from the brink and engage in peaceful resolution through diplomatic channels. The European Union echoed similar sentiments and warned that a full-scale conflict between India and Pakistan could have catastrophic consequences for regional and global stability. Markets across South Asia reacted negatively to the news. The Indian stock market saw a sharp drop of 800 points within the first 2 hours of trading on the 7th of May, while Pakistan's Karachi Stock Exchange lost over 1,100 points. Oil prices briefly spiked due to fears of supply disruption in the region. In border regions, both Indian and Pakistani authorities began evacuating civilians from sensitive areas, setting up temporary shelters and activating emergency services. Social media across both nations became a battleground of narratives, with hashtags such as #IndiaStrikesBack and #PakistanUnderAttack trending worldwide. While many Indian users praised the government's strong response to terrorism, others cautioned against further escalation. In Pakistan, the mood was one of anger and unity, with calls for immediate military response gaining traction. Various global media outlets began extensive coverage of the situation, with some comparing the current escalation to the Pulwama Balakot episode of 2019. As of the latest updates, both Indian and Pakistani armed forces remain on high alert, with troop mobilizations observed near the lock. Air defense units have been repositioned in key regions, and naval assets in the Arabian Sea have also been reportedly deployed. Diplomatic missions in Islamabad and New Delhi have increased their security protocols. Meanwhile, diplomatic backchannels have reportedly been activated, with Oman and the UAE attempting to mediate an informal ceasefire and open communications between the two sides. The coming days will be crucial in determining whether this dangerous escalation can be contained or whether it may spiral into a broader conflict. The international community continues to monitor the situation closely, hoping that reason and restraint will prevail over retaliation.